Hi folks, I'm back, and in today's video I'm going to discuss a poem. I know the very mention of the name poetry evokes disgust and then loathing in some of you. In my experience, I have seen that the majority of students dislike poetry, and that makes teaching poetry a very challenging job for a teacher. Let me see if I can change your perception. The poem under discussion today is the first poem in your textbook, Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds by William Shakespeare. As you all know, William Shakespeare was a giant literary figure who was born in England during the Elizabethan period. It means when Queen Elizabeth I was ruling over England around middle of 16th century. Shakespeare was a prolific writer. He wrote 39 plays and 354 sonnets. The poem under discussion is a sonnet. I'm sure all of you know what a sonnet is. If I ask you to define a sonnet, you will probably say that it is a poem of 14 lines. But do you know who is regarded as the father of sonnet? Well, an Italian poet named Petrarch is regarded as the father of sonnet. The traditional form of sonnet has two stanzas. The first stanza is called an octave, consisting of 8 lines, and the second stanza has 6 lines, known as sextet. But the Shakespearean sonnet differs slightly from the traditional format of sonnet. In Shakespearean sonnet, we have 3 quatrains followed by a couplet. Now, what is a quatrain? A quatrain is a stanza of 4 lines, and a couplet is the concluding 2 lines of the poem. Now, let's turn your attention to the theme of the poem. Well, the theme is something which has universal appeal. It is love. Oh yes, you've heard it right. So, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. What I'm going to do first is I'll read out the poem to you, and then I'll explain each line as I'll go along. So let me read out the poem. Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds by William Shakespeare. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose words unknown, although his hide be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never read, nor no man ever loved. Now I'll try to explain each line to you, so please listen carefully. In the first line, the marriage of true minds means coming together of two persons who are deeply in love with each other. Marriage means coming together or union. And in the second line, the word impediments means obstacles or hurdles. So the poet argues that if two persons are genuinely in love with each other, then they can overcome any obstacle, any hurdle, any challenge that comes in their path. No impediment, no hurdle, no challenge, no obstacle is big enough to thwart their love. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds. The meaning of the word alter means to change. Here the poet says that love doesn't change when there is a change in circumstances. What does it mean? Let me give you an example. If a girl is in love with a very, very rich man, but for some reason the man is reduced to poverty overnight, that doesn't mean she stops loving him. Or if a man is in love with a woman, a beautiful woman, but then for some reason she meets with an accident and then her face is disfigured, she becomes a physical wreck. It doesn't mean he stops loving her just because there are changes in circumstances. And the last line of the first quatrain, or bands with the remover to remove, means band means to change or alter or submit or yield. This line means that love doesn't change even when the lover is absent or unfaithful. I hope you understand the first quatrain. Now let's move on to the second quatrain. Here the poet tells us what love is. In the first quatrain, the poet tells us what love is not. In the second quatrain, he tells us what love is. In the first line, he compares love to an ever-fixed mark. Now, what does the expression ever-fixed mark mean? Ever-fixed means firm, resolute, steadfast. Mark here refers to landmark, which means a lighthouse. So here, love has been compared to a lighthouse that stands firm and upright, that looks on tempests and is never shaken. The meaning of the word tempest is a violent or windy storm. Now, the poet here tells us that even when the lighthouse is battered and lashed by a fierce storm, it is not shaken. It remains unwavering. Similarly, love remains unwavering, firm, resolute, and steadfast, even when there are problems and storms in life. Now, in the third line, it is the star to every wandering bark. Bark here means a ship or a boat. Wandering means a boat that is drifting about in the sea or ocean. Now, in the third line of the second quatrain, the poet has compared love to a star. No ordinary star, but the Polaris or the pole star. You all know that the pole star remains fixed in the sky. It doesn't alter its position. Now, in olden days, before modern navigational tools were invented, the sailors would determine the course of their ship at night by looking at the pole star. So here the poet tells us that, like the pole star, love is like a beacon that illuminates the path of lovers. Now the fourth line, whose worth is unknown, although his height be taken. Here it means to say that the height of the star can be measured, but the value cannot be gauged. In other words, love is priceless, it is precious, and it is invaluable. Can you put a price tag on love? No, you can't. So I hope the second quatrain makes sense to you. Now let's move on to the third quatrain. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Now look at the word time, which has been spelled with capital T. Why is it so? Because time has been personified here. Do you know what personification is? Personification is a poetic device in which we attribute human qualities to something which is not human. Time obviously is not human, but here, time has been compared to someone with a sickle in hand. Now, time with a sickle in hand can destroy everything, including our youth and beauty, but it cannot destroy love. That is why the poet says that love is not time's fool. A fool is someone, you can control, you can have control over a fool, power over a fool, make fun of a fool, but you cannot control love. Time cannot control love. It has no power over love. Love doesn't diminish with the passage of time. It remains undimmed and undiminished, even with the passage of time. Now, rosy lips and cheeks, our lips and cheeks are rosy when we are young. Pink. Rosy means pink. So the poet says that time can destroy our youth, our beauty, but not love. Bending sickle's compass come. It means anything that comes within the range of time, within the ambit of time, will be destroyed. Everything is subject to the ravages of time. Ravages means destructive effect of time, except love. Love alters not with its brief hours and weeks. What does it mean? It means time is fleeting, it is transient, it is ephemeral, but love is not. Love doesn't diminish or fade away with the passage of time. Rather, love is timeless, ageless, and eternal, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. It means love endures even beyond death. Love outlasts death. Hope the third quatrain makes sense to you. Now let's take up the couplet here. If this be error and upon me proved, I never read nor no man ever loved. Error means mistake. So the poet here says that if his idea of love is wrong and he dares anyone to prove him wrong on the statement that he has made about love in the poem, then he is ready to disown his poem. He is ready to give up his claim to the lines that he has written on love. Nor no man ever loved. It means unless a man embodies Shakespeare's idea of love, he hasn't experienced true love. In other words, unless a person is constant, steadfast, his love doesn't change with change in circumstances, unless he experiences love in this sense, he hasn't tasted real, genuine love. This brings us to the end of the poem. I hope you have understood the explanation. Now what I'm going to do is I'll sum up the poem for you. So please listen carefully. In the poem, Shakespeare argues that if two persons are genuinely in love, then no matter what challenge or trouble or problem or obstacle comes in their way, they will be able to overcome it. He further argues that love doesn't change with changes in circumstances. He also says that a lover remains faithful, loyal, even when his or her beloved changes or is absent or is unfaithful. Then in the second quatrain, he compares love to two things. One is the lighthouse, and the second is the Polaris or pole star. He compares love to the lighthouse because a lighthouse remains unshaken even in the face of a fierce storm. Similarly, love enables a person to remain unwavering and unshaken, and it enables him to remain true to the course of his love. And then he compares love to the North Star or the Pole Star, because like the star that sparkles in the sky, love illuminates the path of the lover. And then he says that love is priceless, it is invaluable, you cannot put a price tag on love. In the third quatrain, he says that love is not time's fool, because time can destroy everything, including our youth and beauty, but not love. Love doesn't fade or diminish with the passage of time. Love is timeless, it is ageless and eternal. It even outlasts death. And then he says that if anybody can prove him wrong regarding the statement that he has made on love, he is ready to disown his poetry. And he states very emphatically that unless a person embodies his ideal of love, he hasn't experienced true love in life. Now what I'm going to do, I'll discuss two figures of speech or poetic devices that have been used in this poem. One I've already discussed with you, which is personification, and the second is metaphor. Now, what is the metaphor? A metaphor is a comparison between two unlike things, but those two unlike things share some common characteristics. Let me give you an example. He is a lion. This is a comparison between him and a lion. They are two unlike things, but they share some common characteristics like boldness, bravery, and strength. Now, here in the poem, the metaphors used are an ever-fixed mark, which is the lighthouse. So love has been compared to the lighthouse, so it is a metaphor. Next, love has been compared to the Polaris or pole star. So this is also a metaphor. And this poem has been written in iambic pentameter, which means each line consists of 10 syllables. One stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable. Now, this technicalities, I'll discuss with you in the classroom when the opportunity arises. I hope that the explanation provided in this video will be useful to you. So if you have liked the video, please drop a comment in the comment section below. I would love to hear your feedback. So I'm going to end the video here. Hope and pray that you stay fit, stay healthy. Bye for now.